Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists of the pointless things, where we fly by pointless statue in Booty Bay, because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is Gug Fat Candle, and Gug Fat Candle is a rare kobold found at the entrance to the Echo Ridge Mine in the Elwyn Forest. And obviously one of the reasons I picked him is his name, because he has a phenomenal name, and I contemplated putting the classic WoW human area kobolds here, but I think Gug Fat Candle actually does a great job at representing all kobolds in the human starting area, although, as of Cataclysm, there's actually no kobolds here outside of Gug Fat Candle, and the actual mine itself is blocked off, which I think is interesting. It says here on the Warcraft wiki that it's unknown why it was closed, but it's possible that it had collapsed at some point due to the earthquakes or to prevent the kobolds of Elwyn Forest from getting back inside. It also says that according to Jeremy Fiesel, a game designer, that Gug was one of the very first NPCs created for Elwyn Forest in the original World of Warcraft pre-alpha, though he wasn't actually implemented until Cataclysm, which I thought was really cool. And so yeah, Gug Fat Candle is one of the only kobolds that was in the game in pre-alpha and is still in the game to this very day, and that's why Gug Fat Candle is number 10. 9. Number 9 are the Amberleaf Scamps, and the Amberleaf Scamps are sprites found in the Dawning Valley on the Wandering Isle, and they have stolen Merchant Lorvo's merchandise. And I really just love how much fun they're having with these barrels. Like, they've got barrels on their head, and they're running around with the barrels on their head like, whoa, and then sometimes they're just carrying the barrels around. Some are just like dancing around the barrels, like they're just having a fantastic time. And then there's this area where it looked like they were all surrounding a Pandaren that was trapped in a cage or something, but when I came here to look for him, he was gone. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a quest thing and someone did the quest, then he vanished, but like I didn't see him again. So now it just looks like a bunch of them are looking at nothing, which is kind of funny. I also learned that sprites apparently dislike turnips, and they share the same animations of goblin males, which I didn't know. But yeah, these sprites are just having a great time, even if it is at the expense of Merchant Lorvo's merchandise, but that's why they're number 9. 8. Number 8 are the Young Nightsabers, and the Young Nightsabers are a neutral level 1 saber cat found in Teldrassil. And I always really liked Nightsabers, so I enjoyed seeing them in Teldrassil, but the sad part here is that you have to kill the Young Nightsabers, which I always hate killing the, like, cool animals or just the happy animals in World of Warcraft. I don't know. I'm like a druid at heart or something, man. And so the reason you have to kill them is the balance of nature. And it's a quest from Ilthalane. And he says, "Greetings, I am Ilthalane. My purpose in Shadowglen is to train young druids like you and to ensure that the balance of nature is maintained. The spring rains were particularly heavy this year, causing some of the forest beasts to flourish while others to suffer. Unfortunately, the Night Saber numbers grew too large, and they will devastate the other populations if they are not culled. Journey forth, young druid, and thin saber populations so that nature's harmony will be preserved." So yeah, they do give you a valid reason, but it still feels bad killing the Night Sabers, and I wanted to put them on the list, so that's why the Young Night Sabers are number 8. 7. Number 7 are the Grells and Vile Familiars located in both Teldrassil and Durotar. And so Vile Familiars are imps that are found in the Valley of Trials, and they are very annoying. If you run past them a lot of times, they'll just start shooting fireballs at you. And they are called imps for their quest, but they actually use the Grell model and are not classified as demons. But wait, it gets more confusing. The Grell are forest spirits that resemble imps, but are generally larger and lack the horns that imps have. However, according to Anchorite Avun, who is a Draenei quest giver, even though Grell resemble imps, he found no demonic traces among the ones that he had studied, and they were, as far as he could tell, uncorrupted. I will say, I like how the Vile Familiars and the Grell are both wearing vests. Like, for some reason, they're like, you know what? We don't need gloves. We don't need pants or shoes. We need vests. Although I think the edge goes to the Vile Familiars because they also have a plank of wood with a nail in it. And I think that just really takes it above and beyond. That's like the cherry on top. So either way, that's why the Grell and the Vile Familiars are number 7. 6. Number 6 are the Blood Talon Raptors, and the Blood Talon Raptors are neutral raptors found on the Darkspear Isle and Blood Talon Shore on the Echo Isles in Durotar. And the reason I put the Blood Talon Raptors on this list is I just like raptors. I mean, my WoW leveling pet Larry is a raptor. Growing up, I liked the Toronto Raptors, the basketball team, because I just thought the logo was cool and the uniforms were cool. I even remember in Vanilla WoW getting to see all the trolls riding around on raptor mounts, and I was like, dude, that's so cool. I want a raptor mount. And when you talk to one of the trolls in the Echo Isles, Tagashi, he says, People think raptors wild and vicious, but little else. In truth, they be loyal and cunning in ways you hardly know. And I also looked up some raptor facts, because why not? So it says here that raptors were roughly the size of a turkey, which I thought is pretty cool. I thought they were bigger than that. And they actually had a lot of feathers. And I knew they had feathers, but it says here that the velociraptor was actually more like a land eagle than an actual scaly dinosaur. So yeah, raptors are really cool, and that's why the blood talon raptors are number 6. 5. Number 5 are Quillbore, and Quillbore are located both in Mulgore and in the Exile's Reach. And Quillbore are actually really interesting. In fact, I made a pointless top 10 Quillbore, which I'll link at the end of the video if you want to watch, but I always remember leveling a Tarn and just being like, why are these Quillbore here, man? They're just attacking us and all this stuff. And then when I did that video and researched all of it, I learned that it's because Agamagon, the Great Boar and one of the ancient guardians, was one of the most powerful beings to ever live, and he died fighting in the War of the Ancients against the Burning Legion. And so the Quillbore actually originated from his life force, and they believe that the areas where Agamagon's blood splattered is like holy grounds, and that's where the big thorns and brambles started growing up from. So to them, this is all just like remnants of their god, essentially. Yeah, I just thought that was sick, and there's actually a lot more cool Quillbore lore, but meanwhile, the Exile's Reach Quillbore are serving the Dark Maul Ogre, and they are practicing necromancy, which is honestly pretty cool as well. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to put all the starting zone Quillbore here. I just think Quillbore are great, and so that's why the Quillbore are number 5. 4. Number 4 are the Nestlewood and Mutated Alkin, located at the Nestlewood Hills in the Azuremist Isle. And so the Mutated Alkin here are just Nestlewood Alkin that have been mutated, of course. But this happened because the Exodar crash actually had a bunch of spare parts that broke off from like a power core or something, and so all of these parts were radiating this energy, and I guess the Draenei tried to go out and stop it. They're like, hey, don't touch that, Alkin, and then they just started picking them up and like walking away with them, and so they just started mutating. However, there's a quest called Inoculation, where you use an inoculating crystal to protect the native Alkin from the effects of the radiation, but this is mainly helping the ones that haven't mutated, and the ones that have already mutated are pretty much a lost cause. But yeah, this just really sucks for the Nestlewood Alkin here, right? Like, they were just chilling, doing their thing, living life, and then the Draenei were like, oh, and crashed into their home, and their radiation just destroyed all of their friends and family, and the Draenei are just like, whoops. So I just wanted to put him on the list because I feel bad for him. Honestly, this lore impacted me more than anything in Shadowlands ever did. So that's why the Nestlewood and Mutated Alkin are number 4. 3. Number 3 are the Murlocs of Exile's Reach, and these Murlocs are relatively passive, but are known to steal random things and won't give them up without a fight. And compared to most of the other groups of humanoids on the Exile's Reach, the Murlocs actually manage to avoid becoming submissive to the Dark Maul Ogre. And even though the new player experience for World of Warcraft is pretty bad, I actually think the Exile Reach was a great addition. I think it's a fun little area to learn the game, and I think it's after Exile's Reach where the new player experience gets a lot worse. But I'm glad I can add Murlocs to the list, because 8 years ago when I made pointless top 10 starting zone mobs, as of the creation of this video, this is actually a remake, none of the starting zone mobs actually had Murlocs in them. A lot of people were like, where are Murlocs on the list? But they were outside of the starting zone mobs. So a lot of times once you finished the little starting zone area and you went out into the zone, then you would find the Murlocs, but none of the actual little areas had Murlocs in them. But now with the Exile's Reach, that's a different story. And I think my favorite Murlocs here are the ones that are just dancing. They're just dancing on treasure, dancing with other Murlocs, like they're just having a great time. So that's why I decided to put the Murlocs at number 3. 2. Number 2 are the Trogs and Ice Trolls of Dunmurrow. And I'm mainly putting these higher up on the list out of a nostalgia factor for myself, because there's nothing really crazy or special about the Trogs or the Ice Trolls. Like, they're cool, and they've got some little backstories and stuff, but, well, I shouldn't say little backstories. They're actually really in-depth backstories. You have the Ice Trolls that were like the founders of the Drakari Empire and Northrend and Zuldrak, and then you have the Trogs, which are like a rough draft of the Earthen that they messed up on. The Titans, that is. But when I think of starting zone mobs, these are the mobs that I think about. And I don't know if that's because my first ever character was a dwarf hunter, so maybe I just instantly tie that into like, whoa, I'm playing World of Warcraft for the first time, wow, right? Or maybe it's just because I really like Dunmurrow. Like, I would say Dunmurrow is my favorite starting zone out of all the starting zones. But it's like I said, when I think of starting zone mobs, these are the mobs that I think of, outside of the number 1 that you're about to see in a couple seconds here. But either way, that's why the Trogs and the Ice Trolls are number 2. 1. And number 1 are boars. And I had to put boars at number 1 because they're easily the most well-known starting zone mob in World of Warcraft, as they're actually, I think, in pretty much every starting zone. There's a few they're not in, like Tearsful Glades, but they're in pretty much like every other one. Like, you can always find some sort of boar in the starting zones. There's also that South Park episode where they just level up by killing a bunch of boars. So even people that don't really play World of Warcraft know that there's boars in World of Warcraft and that they're a newbie mob and you can kill them to level up. So I don't think you can say the same for trogs, right? But and you probably wouldn't want to just level up by killing boars outside of, you know, memeing or making a dumb YouTube video or something. I will say the first zone that comes to mind when I think of a starting zone that has boars in it is probably Dunmurrow, just because I remember the crag boars there, and I remember making the beer-basted boar ribs. I think everybody remembers beer-basted boar ribs, at least if you leveled a dwarf or a gnome. But yeah, for all those reasons, that's why I feel like boars just have to be number 1, and so that's why boars are number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. If you want more top 10s, you go watch Quill Boars like I mentioned earlier in the video, or you go watch last week's, which was weird WoW NPCs named after jobs. Also, like the video and comment below what your favorite starting zone mob is. Okay? Okay. See ya.